Okay, we're going to do a 0 degree haircut on Macy. What are some other names for it?
Blunt.
Blunt. Okay. All one length, no elevation. Okay. You want to make sure that you check the hairline. Do you see the back of her hairline?
Yeah.
You see what it does? She's got a little bit of a swirl here and there. Here's a different comb. So whenever I see how that kind of comes in, I have to be careful whenever I cut that. I want to use tension, but I want to use moderate tension. Because if I use too much tension and cut it straight across, what's going to happen when I let go? It's going to spring up, okay? Sometimes on this type, I might even take a little bit more of a guide down. We're basically just kind of evening her up a little bit. So I'm going to take it up a little bit more so I can make sure that some of those pieces weren't part of that cowlick.
You're pretty odd. I have a comb here. She's got to even you.
Alright, so you want to make sure that the hair, I need another black comb. Comb it smooth, make sure you're getting all the hair, that you don't have any of it tucked down in. Here's your fine side. And again, you can see we're just going to just kind of even it up a little bit.
Don't cut past your second knuckle.
Did she just cut past her second knuckle?
I think so.
You need to make sure that you're combing your shears each time.
You cut past the second knuckle. She says because she's a pro. When she cuts herself. Shh.
Okay, you want to make sure that you keep your fingers as close as possible to the cape. If I hold them out at all, it creates elevation, which creates layers. Yes. You want to periodically bounce back and forth and make sure that you're balanced on both sides. Make sure you're positioned right behind them. Bring it down. And again, if you need to, just kind of line your fingers up to stay. Let down each section, comb it smooth. I prefer these combs, I like the wide side, and then I like the finer side to really make sure it's nice and smooth. Bless you. No elevation, and just as close as you can. And you want to work from your center out. Always be standing directly in front of what you're cutting. And then you can do what's called a pressure cut. And I do this a lot with shorter hair because you can lay it right on the neckline. You're going to comb it down and just use your finger and hold it down, and you can cut right along the cape or cut along the skin line. It's also a good way to check it and to make sure that you're even. And again, always periodically check it for if you're even as you go through before you move on. Why is it important to comb it really smooth?
So you don't have long
If you don't
pieces.
smooth it, maybe tangled, and then it'll be longer.
Right. And you always want to make sure that you keep the same amount of moisture in the hair, that one side is not drier than the other. Now, all one length haircut is going to create what?
Weight.
Okay, well, it's not so much, it'll be fullness. It'll be full, especially with her hair. And somebody who had real fine hair, a lot of times we do it all one length to be able to make it look fuller. Hers, we might end up going back and putting some layer in it because she has so much hair. Some of that's not reaching, so I'm just going to go ahead and let it down. And I might put a little bit of an elevation in there. Okay, because none of that's reaching. You want to make sure your client is seated and their legs are not crossed. Why? Why? Mhm. A little bit. Okay, I'm going to create my guide on the side, turn my client a little bit. Easy way to do this is have them turn their head a little bit. Then the shoulder's not in the way. Comb it down. And I'm just going to continue. Okay, see how her shoulder's in the way? It'd be kind of awkward to do this, to cut it. So it's just real easy. Just turn her head, and now I have a nice flat surface to cut on. When you have your guide finished, you want to make sure that you're even. So before I go on, I'm going to balance her on both sides. Make sure she's looking straight too. Still a little bit longer on that side. You want to make sure that your guide is right, because I wouldn't want to cut the whole side and then find out. But this one was a little bit longer, and then I'd have to go back and do the whole cut again. Still not sure? Take your fingers, make sure you're standing straight in front of her. Line them up, and then pull them down. Still looks a little bit there. Try it from the back, too, and make sure that you're at the same spot. Take a pull right behind the ear. That's good. Okay. Then you can continue on. Important to make sure that you palm your shears each time so that you don't have any accidental cutting. You need to make sure that you take your thumb out and close them. Different ways that you can palm. You can palm them this way as well. You hold it up and flip them out. But your thumb needs to go out and the blades need to close. Side. If you have too much hair, like if you're doing a major cut and you can't see your guide underneath, go back and take less down from your section. You should be able to see your guide right underneath so you know what you're cutting. If you can't, thin that section down a little bit so that you can see it. Now I've got both sides done. Now we're going to continue.
Does her hair part that way?
I usually like to do it to the center, and then I'll go back and change it. Because that way she can change her part. Do you wear your part different places? Different times? You always wear the same side? Okay, well then you can do it that way. Okay, where do you usually part? Right where it's at?
Maybe a little bit.
All right. Now, she said she always wears her part the same way. I'm still going to check it the other way. Or cut it to the middle, just to be on the safe side, in case she ever would change her mind. Why? What difference would it make if I didn't do that? Anybody? What if I just cut it the way she has her part, and then she decides to part it in the middle? Is it going to make a difference?
Yeah.
What?
Maybe 2 different.
Yeah, the one side you can have, it'll have some longer pieces. And it's not going to hurt it to cut it into with the middle. At least that way I know if she goes to change her part, it's not going to look like I missed a piece. Do you have a little bit of an angle in your front? You want to keep that? I'm going to comb this where it naturally falls. Cut here. Bang on. And that's just my thumb moves. Side too or not? I think you need a little bit because it's a little bit heavy right here. Okay, a little bit harder on this angle. Take this just from the middle as it goes.
Miss Karen, we have like 3 minutes.
Okay.
Hurry up.
Stop.